everyone. Welcome back to Thought Crime and Keto and Crime. Happy Thanksgiving weekend in the United States if you're watching it with me over the weekend, or watching it with me. If you're watching this over the weekend. I just want to send out a wonderful to everyone, and whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope you're having a great one. And so I thought I'd let my hair down a bit this weekend. I have been reading Chad Daybell novels for a month solid now. And honestly, when I picked up the third book in his Standing on Holy Ground series called Rise of Zion, I stared at it and I thought to myself, on my Kindle now, girl, there's not enough wine in this house, on this block, in this county to make me read this right now because I'm just so full of all the crap. So that series will pick up next week. For this week, I thought I would let my hair down just a little bit, and for today's video, we're going to go over a case that I've been following for a little while, right here on YouTube. It actually originated right here on YouTube. I found it very, very interesting, and I'm going to talk about it. Basically, we're going to talk about the Tati Westbrook, without a crystal ball, Clark Swanson lawsuit kerfluffle that's been going on. Now, if you haven't heard about this, I'm about to tell you all about it. This is not really a crime, but it is a lawsuit and involves kind of why I wait so long before I cover a case. I'm not one of those that covers a case the week that it breaks, because for just this reason. There are like 3 different lawsuits going on in conjunction with this thing, because a lot of YouTubers jumped in and weighed in on a certain lawsuit before all the facts were known, and they spread some false information, and other people have turned around and sued as a result. So this is exactly why true crimers like me, Stephenie, Harlow, Bailey Syrian, who next to Stephenie Harlow is one of my all-time favorites. Bailey, if you happen to be watching this, or Stephenie, I love you. Not in a weird way. And she does makeup along with her true crime. Obviously, I don't wear makeup, but I really enjoy her. But that's the reason that true crimers often wait to cover something until all the facts are known, because of exactly what I'm about to talk about. We don't want to get sued. We don't want to overstep our bounds, and we don't want to put out false information. So that's the reason you'll never see me breaking a story, because not all the facts are known. Unless I'm involved in the story and actually know all the facts, that is the only way you'll ever see me break an exclusive story. Because I'm a storyteller, not a journalist, though a lot of journalism goes into what I do. So that's why you'll never see me break a story. And I hope I'm never involved in a story close enough to be able to break it. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. I want to say a wonderful, wonderful shout out to my wonderful patrons, my wonderful channel members. Couldn't do this without you. If you'd like to join them, all that's below. You can also check out my merch store. And I have a whole lot of great surprises coming. I'm now working with a YouTube manager who is wonderful, and you're going to be seeing some rebranding, and I finally have advanced it enough that I can afford someone to help me. So you're going to see new intros, new art, new thumbnails, all kinds of stuff. So be prepared for that. Also, Daybell will be back. The Daybell novels will be back next week. I'm also planning one on Martha Stewart, exactly what happened there, because she's one of my favorites. Also, Ruby Ridge, Mary Bell, all kinds of cool stuff coming up after I slob through the last of the Daybell novels. So, anyway, let's get into it. Westbrook versus Without a Crystal Ball versus Swanson versus Without a Crystal Ball versus every drama channel here on YouTube. Let's get into it. First, to really understand this whole saga, you have to understand completely different genres here on YouTube outside of true crime. True crime does cross over with some of these, but for, like I said, Bailey Syrian's both makeup and true crime. But we're not one and the same. So you have to understand a couple other genres. First is the makeup world, and this is by far the makeup genre. This is by far one of the biggest here on YouTube. These are people that not only do makeup tutorials, but they usually own their own makeup brand. Think Jeffree Star, think James Charles, who are actually involved in this case we're going to talk about. Think Tati Westbrook. Think all of these wonderful, wonderful creators that also have a business that kind of circumvents their YouTube, that maybe their YouTube feeds into. And literally, they do anything to do with makeup, whether it be reviews, doing their own thing, doing makeup tutorials, all encompassing. So that's one genre you need to be aware. Now, closely related to this genre is the drama community. Now, drama, exactly what you think it is. They talk about drama here on YouTube, not necessarily crime or legal stuff, but drama, scandals, the stuff that people click. The drama genre will always be bigger than the true crime because, let's face it, we can't look away from a train wreck. So drama, also closely akin to that is commentary. This could be political, it could be social, it could be whatever, but we all know people in this genre. Think Dustin Daly, who's one of my favorites. Think The Viewer's Voice. Think T-Spill. Think Spill. Think Petty Page. Think The Rewired Soul, even though he says he's a mental health channel. He's drama. But, and then in commentary, you have The Right Opinion, you have Primic, you have Smoky Glow, you have all kinds of different people in the genre that bring you the breaking news that you need to know off of YouTube. And I really enjoy these channels. When I need an escape from reading cryptic novels written by an accused murderer, or reading books that inspired crimes, or reading about cases themselves, when I need a break and need something not quite wholesome but entertaining that's a little bit more lighthearted, I turn to these genres. I don't wear makeup, but I enjoy watching the makeup genre. I especially enjoy watching the drama channels because it's entertaining. And so the other genre you need to understand this case is the atheist genre. Now, I'm sort of in that genre because I am atheist. I have done some atheist, adjacent content, but one of the people involved in this kind of got caught up in a scandal in the atheist world a few years ago. So we're going to talk about that. So, think about my friend David Silverman, who's been on my channel a couple of times, my friend Jim Hall from the Atheist Edge, who you've seen on here many times. That is who you think of when you think about this genre. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about this case, shall we? Way back in 2017, when her makeup YouTube channel was taking off, Tati Westbrook and her husband, James Westbrook, started with a business partner whose name was Clark Swanson. I do not have any photos of him. Also, I will not be actually using any clips from videos because everybody in the genre are a little bit litigious and I don't want to get sued, so I'll only be using stills. But they went into negotiations starting what is called it's kind of part nutritionals like vitamins and part makeup. So it's a very specific type of brand that they started called Harlow Beauty. And it's literally vitamins and things to improve not only your health, but your appearance. I'm going to call it nutritionals for the sake of this video. But basically, it was called Harlow Beauty. And it was vitamins and creams and things like that nourished your appearance from within. And Tati and James, started this company with a friend by the name of Clark Swanson. And originally their contract, or originally their agreement, was that the Westbrooks would have 50%, so 25 and 25, and he would have 50% of the company, and that Tati and James would be the marketing power behind it because Tati had this huge platform. She was also friends with other big makeup YouTubers like James Charles, Jeffree Star, etc. So she knew that with having her friends and her promoting this brand, it was going to take off. Now, Clark supposedly had a lot of experience with developing vitamins, developing cosmetics, developing things like that, and he was going to run the day-to-day business as well as the development in exchange for 33.3% of the business, and also under the understanding that Tati and James would, anything Tati released, whether it was actual makeup or whether it was a nutritional, would be released under Harlow Beauty, and they would all make money. Makes sense, right? Well, wasn't that easy. A couple of things happened during the early part of the company. Yes, they did produce quite a few vitamins for the company that Tati was building up on her channel for a big release, as did some of her friends, but trouble was brewing because behind the scenes, Tati, James, and Clark were beginning to bicker. There was a couple of incidents that happened. One, Clark, Tati and James would invite Clark to their LA home for parties and things like that, where he would meet all these other YouTube influencers, and supposedly he got creepy with a female one. Not going to name any names, but he got kind of creepy with her, and she complained to Tati. On top of that, there was an incident where after meeting Jeffree Star, Clark actually took pictures of Jeffree's designer high-end car. This is like a Lambo or a Porsche or something of that genre, and posted a picture as if it was his, and then Jeffree got upset and kind of tweaked back, get on the rental list or something like that. So basically, Clark was starting to get a little creepy on him, according to the first lawsuit we're going to talk about. Now, in addition to that was Dramageddon. Now, this is an instance where it all started right after the release of the first Harlow Beauty vitamins, where, James Charles supposedly and Jeffree Star supposedly had told Tati that they would only, promote her vitamins, but then James went to Coachella in 2018 with some friends and kind of got mobbed because he was there under a general ticket and didn't have security or anything like that. And so a friend of his, Nikita Dragon, I believe, was already working with a brand called Sugar Bear Hair, which was literally Harlow Beauty's #1 competitor in the market of nutritionals, vitamins and such. They did hair and skin vitamins just like she did. And so he basically says he struck a deal with them to provide security backstage at Coachella so that he and his friends could enjoy it rather than being mobbed. But in payment, they wanted him to do an Instagram story promoting some of their vegan sleep vitamins or anti-stress vitamins. And so he did. But according to him, he did text Tati and tell her, but that did not prevent Tati from getting upset with him because evidently there was some agreement in place. And so she went a couple of weeks later, she went public with her Syrian video by Sister, where her, along with supposedly, now we know, Jeffree Star and allegedly Shane Dawson, went nuclear on James Charles, basically accusing him of being you can't say the word here on YouTube, but trying to do scandalous things with straight men and things of that nature, as well as just breaking it down. So it was a all-in-all attack on James Charles. And I actually did a video on this originally, which I'll link here, which Tati copyright claimed, which is why I'm not using any clips now. But that happened, and of course, I guess in Clark's eyes, that was kind of a breach of the original contract. Plus, Tati and James were digging into what Clark was up to, and supposedly he wasn't running day-to-day operations to their standards. So they met and they kind of renegotiated they wanted to renegotiate the contract just a bit. And so they called a meeting, and James and Tati evidently wanted to now cut the percentages down from, 50% for them together, 50% for Clark, into a more even 33.3% per person, which would inevitably give Tati and James, as a married couple, like 67% of the business. So they wanted to cut it down that way as retribution for all the crap that had been going on. Well, of course, Clark wasn't having that, wasn't happy with that. And so earlier this year, after they officially split as business partners, Clark filed a lawsuit alleging breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, lots of other things, attempting to collect money from Tati and James. And that was the initial lawsuit. Well, of course, drama channels and commentary channels were all over this because this is big news. These are big people in the genre of YouTube. They were all over it. Particularly one commentary / drama channel that has always had a history of not quite liking Tati. And the name of that channel is Without a Crystal Ball. Not going to use her real name because she's been copyright striking channels that do that. So not going to use it. We're just going to call her Miss Balls. So Miss Balls basically broke this story. She was the first drama channel to break the story of this lawsuit, and it was just, she showed a straight up reading of the lawsuit, which is public record, and then piling on top of that her slantedness toward not liking Tati and James. She painted them in a very bad light without knowing all of the details. Now, she had a history. Now, she goes back several years. I first heard about her in a scandal that rocked the atheist genre about 3 years ago, surrounding a channel called The Non Sequitur Show, which was a kind of a debate channel, and she had a kind of a rivalry with one of the hosts of that show, Steve McRae, and also she wrote for a religious website called Patheos. So she was already kind of vindictive toward the atheist community, and then really got into a beef with this guy, Steve McRae, when this channel, the two owners of the channel, Steve and another YouTuber, got into it, and the show was basically split in half. Half the audience went with Steve, the other half stayed with the other host, and she got caught up in that drama. So that's how I first heard of her. It wasn't under her channel called Without a Crystal Ball. It was under her real name because she was a writer for Patheos at the time. But yeah, still not going to say her name. But so that's how I first heard about her. And supposedly her beef with Tati goes back that far, because supposedly she was using her platform on Patheos to write discriminatory articles about Tati and other YouTubers. Particularly, she dug into Tati's then boyfriend / fiance James, and dug up a whole lot of information on a family squabble over his parents' and grandparents' property, which ended in a settlement with his sister. But she basically got a hold of all this information and kind of put it out there. And supposedly at that time, Tati and James kind of went to her off the line and said, hey, stop this. This is our family business. You're dragging stuff in here that shouldn't be dragged. But she continued. And then on top of that, even on her channel, she's admitted to going as far as digging into Tati's birth records. She complained that she couldn't find Tati's birth certificate, just doing, in my opinion, really creepy things that I would never do, even investigating a crime case. I felt really dirty after I dug so deep into Shanann and Chris Watt's finances. I really felt dirty, but I stayed with public record. I didn't go any deeper than that. But she was literally digging in, trying to find Tati's birth certificate, all this stuff, dragging Tati's family into this, which is just messed up, girl. I understand you want to be a journalist, but you're a YouTuber. You're not a journalist. You shouldn't be doing that stuff. Now, supposedly, because she was using her platform on Pathos for that, she was supposedly let go, though she says that she left of her own volition. I don't know. I'm just putting out what we do know right now. So anyway, so of course, when this lawsuit hit, you've got Clark Swanson suing the Westbrook. She jumped all over it and made several videos, broke the story. And then when other drama channels and other commentary channels started picking it up, she kind of lambasted them if they didn't give her credit for breaking the story. So she kind of stirred up a hornet's nest with some of the other drama channels like Dustin Daily, Viewer's Voice, T-Spill. You can find all of these channels simply by doing a search. I'll link as many of them below as I possibly can. So she kind of dug up a hornet's nest. Well, she just kept making video after video after video on it. Of course, they kept getting views. And right around the same time as the third lawsuit we're going to talk about dropped, number 2 dropped. It was literally like within a few days of each other. But basically, lawsuit number 2 was Tati and James Westbrook filing a lawsuit against Miss Balls for defamation, libel, slander, and looking for monetary damages. Not just for what she did about the lawsuit, but because they considered what she had been doing to them for many years as harassment. Now, right after this lawsuit, the third lawsuit we're going to talk about also dropped, where Tati and James filed countersuit against Clark Swanson and also answered to every one of his charges. And this is where we saw their side of the story coming out. And even though the first lawsuit, of course, because they were the defendants in it, painted them in a very negative light, the third lawsuit kind of brought it more even into the middle, where we saw they probably weren't all villainous. It was probably a mutual villainy going on there. And so then you had a lot of drama channels, recovering it. The best coverage of this case is Emily D. Baker. I will definitely link her channel below. She is a YouTube lawyer and an actual lawyer in the state of California where the lawsuit took place. So she is uniquely qualified to cover that case. So if you really want in-depth analysis of all 3 lawsuits, the original one, Swanson versus Westbrook, Westbrook versus Miss Balls, and then Westbrook versus Swanson again, go check out her channel. She has by far the best coverage of it. So we've got all these 3 lawsuits looming. And it really calls into question now, is this going to cause YouTube, once this is settled, to really nail down on commentary and drama channels? Are we going to, and even true crime, are we going to be censored, as far as what we can do? I mean, because one YouTuber went a little bit too far, went a little too crazy digging into people. And, of course, Miss Balls has been continuing her feuds with other drama channels, and recently on a live stream by the YouTuber Unirock, also doxed or released personal information of one of these drama channels by the name of Creepshow Art, who is a wonderful commentary and drama channel. She also draws handmade art while she does it. I love watching her. She has a very soothing voice. But evidently, because she doxed her, that is, released her real life information in this public live stream that other people were able to grab before it was deleted, Creepshow Art had creepy people just threatening her and sending weird messages, and she feared being swatted. And so now that has just boiled over, which may potentially lead to another lawsuit, possibly. And now Creepshow Art, whose real name is Shannon, she says that on her channel. I don't think she would mind me saying that. Has now made a couple of videos exposing Miss Balls for past struggles that they've had. Evidently, they've had a war going on for a long time. Evidently, Miss Balls wanted Creepshow to give her a shout out on her channel. Creepshow has accused Miss Balls of buying subscribers and stuff like that. And so that rivalry has been rekindled, and it's just a big old mess. And I'm afraid more lawsuits are coming. And that's why I wanted to cover this today as a perfect example of why you'll never see me break a story, because you need to wait for all the facts and only report the facts as they're known. Now, feeding into this scandal are also, you know, Dramageddon. Like I said, James Charles came back and did a response. Then it came out recently that maybe it was a hit piece by Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star. No proof of that except for what Tati says. Who knows? Who knows? But this has just been a whole big mess. This has literally kept drama and cosmetics, the makeup genre, going for years. And so it's just finally culminated into legal action, which is why I wanted to cover this and say that's why I will never break a story. That's why you will never see me get involved in a personal squabble. If another YouTuber had a beef with me, I would handle it personally. I would never take to making reaction videos about it to get views, because this is what it leads to. This is supposed to be an entertainment site, whether that's drama, true crime, you know, talking about atheism or even religion. This is supposed to be an educational and informative type of platform. It really hurts when I see this kind of stuff happening, and where it could threaten my channel. People that are completely not involved in this could get censored because of something silly over there. So, don't dig too deep into someone's past, okay? If they're a public figure, yes, they're going to be up to a certain amount of scrutiny. I don't criticize Miss Balls for covering Tati Westbrook. She's a popular subject. But when you start digging into people's birth certificates and slandering them and not listening to all of the facts, digging into past family squabbles, which always happens when there's a death and there's an estate left, there's going to be family squabbles. That doesn't need to be put out there for public record, because it's not public record. It's a private lawsuit. So there you go. That's kind of where it stands right now. I'm watching this with a whole lot of interest to see if any other lawsuits develop and if any new YouTube rules come down as a result of it. And so just wanted to put that out there and say that's why I wait so long to cover a case. Anyway, I'm going to link a whole bunch of these channels down below. They cover this case in a whole lot more detail than I did. I'm just giving you the basics, but I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back really soon. Until next time, Keto Comic.